Hi, my name is Dr. Matt Cracknell. I'm a criminology lecturer at Middlesex University, which is based in London. I mainly teach in the areas of criminal justice, in particular prisons and probation. Prior to working at Middlesex University, I was a probation practitioner for a number of years. I recently completed my PhD, which was in 2020. That PhD was based on the resettlement provisions offered to people serving short sentences during transforming rehabilitation. I see a number of challenges ahead for the next probation reform, in particular around areas of resettlement, which is what I wanted to focus on today in this short video. So there's been a number of long-standing issues and problems with resettlement, a number of these which predate transforming rehabilitation, and we need to kind of ensure that whatever the next resettlement reform program looks like, that some of these challenges and issues are tackled. So first of all, we know there's been long-standing issues around forming this kind of cohesive working culture between prisons and probation practitioners. We know that there's been a number of kind of failed attempts in the past to integrate these two services of prisons and probation, and often these two services have had two very distinct cultures, and that's been a long-standing challenge which has really harmed resettlement provisions. We know as well that there's been long-standing challenges around the pace and scale of policy changes regarding resettlement. Often policy changes with resettlement are brought in very quickly, and staff feel like they haven't been given the time or the resources to adapt to these changes. A huge long-standing challenge that we see with resettlement as well is around the resourcing provisions, and really resourcing very much it is a wider issue than just prisons and probation. We know that resourcing can affect people's accessing benefits when they leave prison, particularly around accessing universal credit, where we know it can take sometimes up to 4 to 6 weeks to access benefits post-release. We know that housing is a huge challenge, mental health support, support with debt, support with substance misuse, and many, many other issues have been long-standing, ongoing challenges to effective resettlement support. Regarding prison staff as well, we know there's been long-standing challenges around the extent to which they buy in to providing resettlement support and actually seeing their role beyond kind of core security concerns, and actually seeing their role around rehabilitation and reintegration as well. Moving into the community, we know there's been a number of long-standing challenges regarding resettlement around service users, staff having time for supervision with service users. And we know particularly with transforming rehabilitation, staff had really high caseloads, sometimes up to 60 plus people, and just didn't have the time that they would like to provide that kind of in-depth support to people once they've, in their reintegration back into society. And the last long-standing challenge we've seen to resettlement as well is about being able to provide a kind of an individualized service, and not just a kind of a one-size-fits-all service. And so I think it's really important that the next kind of resettlement reform program is really underpinned by theories of assistance, and provides staff the opportunity and the time and the resources to work with people in depth in an individualized process. I'd like as well just to talk about some of the actual opportunities regarding resettlement, and in particular to what extent are these opportunities able to kind of overcome some of the long-standing challenges that I've just outlined. So we know that the next reiteration of resettlement policy involves two central ideas: offender management and custody, and also an enhanced through the gate model. So this enhanced through the gate model predates the latest probation reform program. We know it was brought in 2018, where additional money was provided to prisons to provide an enhanced through the gate service. An initial report by the Ministry of Justice suggests that actually there have been a number of improvements around resettlement provisions. So the additional funding has enabled extra staff. It's also enabled these staff as well to provide a level of service that is just beyond ticking boxes, but actually working more proactively with individuals while they're in custody as well. And again, the next part of this new part of resettlement is about offender management in custody. And this is going to combine two different types of provisions. So first of all, offender management work, which is going to be combined with through the gate work as well. And the hope is that this should aid duplication. So these are some of the kind of the opportunities, but we have to think about to what extent are they actually going to be able to address some of the long-standing challenges. And what I'm slightly concerned with actually is that this offender management in custody puts more emphasis on prison staff. And we know, as I said previously, that the prison staff have had a huge number of challenges over the last few years. Numbers have been cut, and we know conditions in prisons have not been good. So I'm concerned about to what extent are prison staff going to be able to provide enhanced kind of offender management, enhanced rehabilitation support, and enhanced kind of key working support as well. Again, one of the challenges about the pace and scale of reforms. And we know that a recent probation inspector report suggests that actually these resettlement provisions aren't fully put in place yet, and there's a large number of kind of staff confusion about their roles and how things are going to work. So this suggests that some of these problems are going to remain, and these pre-existing issues might go on to negatively affect resettlement provisions going forward. In terms of the one thing that I would like to see, particularly regarding resettlement going forward, well, I'd really like to see a greater understanding from government that actually resettlement responsibility should come beyond just prison and probation staff, that actually we need wider government reforms related to areas such as housing provisions and support in the community for mental health and substance misuse, and better help for people with benefits once they're released from custody as well. I'd also just like to see an opportunity for this reform to actually be fully embedded. We've seen these constant kind of revolving door of this cycle of different resettlement policies over the years. And I think what we really need to see now is an opportunity for a resettlement reform just to become embedded, to give staff a chance to kind of get used to changes and a new way of working and working with a different set of partners. And just to give probation staff as well that space, that freedom to provide that real in-depth supervision support that staff really want to do. Thank you very much.